You ready to do this, buddy?
Let's do it, Cheds.
Welcome everybody. Making bread with Ched. Who's ready to make some bread with Ched? I'm here with my main man, Big Jonas. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Cheds, how's it going tonight?
Oh, it's pretty good, pretty good. Happy to have you, Ched. Real happy to have you. How you feeling, bud?
I'm feeling good. I'm ready to talk some crypto. Tremendous price action happened today, so I'm super excited to talk about it.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun. So, you know, the format of today's show, we're going to do a regular show. And, you know, we're improving every week, working on the format. We're going to start out with our intro, do some little talk about the news, you know, what's going on, do some analysis on that. We're going to cover major coins. We're going to start to switch over to, you know, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. We're going to talk about altcoins. Take your chart requests. We are going to do some requests. Get you guys that technical analysis that you are desperately waiting for. And we're going to leave that last segment open to, you know, whatever we need to do. So, Big Jonas today. Today's March 14th, 2018. And, what, 350 billion market cap. And we got some news. Couple news items. You want to take it from here?
Couple interesting things that kind of caught my eye today. I wanted to just briefly talk about. Something interesting happened with Christine Lagarde. She is the head of the IMF, very important in terms of you know, world markets, and she did a blog post today basically urging regulators across the world to kind of crack down on cryptocurrencies in terms of a potential for money laundering and really a potential impact on the financial system. You know, and another example of some anti-crypto FUD that just kind of hit the airwaves there. And another thing that kind of caught my eye is Google seems to be changing up some of their advertising regulations in terms of ads discussing and talking about crypto, Bitcoin, etc. Kind of seems like another FUD story that they're trying to control what ads are seen. It kind of seemed a little hypocritical, if you ask me, in terms of the things that they're totally fine with, and this kind of reversal in allowing crypto ads, which I guess is supposed to be something to kind of block in a couple months from now. So, you know, two items here that kind of are adding a little FUD, you know, to our daily crypto news, but kind of the things that I think we should all be aware of at the same time.
Oh, I think that's great. I think that's great. Now, you mentioned something, you know, a few times here, FUD. Do you want to just, what is FUD? What does that mean, crypto FUD? What does it mean to you, Big Jonas?
Fear, uncertainty, disbelief. I mean, these are the things that kind of throw the crypto community kind of out of whack. These are mainstream news items, mainstream media kind of interpreting their own way certain crypto news that happens. And, you know, you have a broadcast channel, a CNBC, a CNN discussing Bitcoin, kind of bringing that story out to the masses. Whether it's a negative story or a positive story, it can have tremendous impact on the price of Bitcoin. And, you know, I kind of feel that these two stories that I mentioned kind of fall into that FUD scenario of negative news kind of affecting the prices and the volatility, basically adding to the volatility.
Very good. I think that's a great way to analyze it. Before we go any further, I want to encourage everybody, if you like these videos, why don't you go ahead and check out my blog, chedstrading.blogspot.com. If you're a new trader, you have to check out the complete beginner's guide to crypto. I put it together just for you guys. You jump right into section 10, beginner mistakes. Tells you what to avoid doing, fear of missing out, chasing stuff, not taking profit, how to buy things with which pairing, Bitcoin or USD, over trading, self-punishing. I really can't recommend this guide enough for you guys. So definitely go ahead and check that out. If you like these videos, obviously go ahead and subscribe. More are coming, including a intro to trading crypto, a basics chart basics video. Also, please follow me on Twitter at Big Cheds. Put out a lot of content for you guys. Have a lot of fun on my Twitter account. And just finally, just as a reminder, you guys follow me enough, you know that everything I do is for educational purposes only. I'm trying to teach you some chart basics, some basic risk management, and it's really just for fun. I'm trying to teach you what I know, and I want you, like it says here, avoid my old mistakes. So that's what we do. So once again, I'm not an advisor, and what we're doing here is for fun. On that note, Big Jonas, let's jump right into some analysis. Bitcoin, and it's kind of the same story, macro, same story. We're still in between these two large trend lines, and from my view, last time we did this show, Making Bread with Ched, we had a really nice candle. This nice candle here, and we were looking at some type of like a crossing buy signal maybe. And looks like since then we've had a little more downside, and we're getting closer to that downtrend line. What are you seeing there, good buddy?
A lot of price action today happened in Bitcoin. I mean, we really started the day, significantly higher, I guess you could say, than we are now. I guess you could argue that once we broke that 8,000 mark, there was a big question about how far we would kind of fall under that. Surprisingly, we only fell about, $69 under that, and actually are kind of in the middle of a decent bounce here. I'm not entirely sure what we have going on here, but at least short term, I'm feeling there's a good bottom potentially that we've already established in Bitcoin, since about looks like 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here.
So you think we're putting a short time bottom like the last couple hours, or what are you looking at? Because I'm looking at like a 4-hour that's just starting to maybe bottom, but there's no, it could go a little lower, but you're right there. Is it a 1 hour? Where are you getting that from?
So you mentioned the 4-hour. Let's start with that. Something that really caught my eye initially is how much we've bottomed on the stock and RSI, a trend that basically talked a lot about. That is really interesting because we basically flatlined for quite a while there, and there was a lot of indecision in the market as to really how much lower we could go. But for right now, I'm looking at a legitimate trying to find some support here. The fact that we're kind of still hovering over 8,000 after that little touch under, that's showing some significant positive signs for me right now in the short term.
All right, I think you're making a good point. What do we have? What is that? So this candle just started here, 3 hours and 49 seconds. This candle on its own looks pretty good. I think for me, I'm just kind of waiting with Bitcoin. I'm waiting to see what it does, if it tests the lower trend line. Until then, I'm kind of agnostic. I mean, you're still in the long bull pennant, but we're range bound, right? We're kind of range bound between these two trend lines. So I think that's kind of where we're at for now. And for my money, I'm just going to wait and see what happens if we get to that lower trend line. What I do like right here quite a bit, I'm looking at Litecoin, and I think Litecoin is looking like there's some potential for a nice trade from here. Daily chart, we're looking nice and oversold. Lower Bollinger, 4-hour. I mean, we're right there on the 4-hour. You've had this pullback, lower Bollinger Band, some nice volume, kind of oversold. What are you seeing there?
Everybody listening to this podcast right now, I want you to raise your hand if you were able to buy Litecoin under 160, because I think you deserve a pat on the back. I'm very bullish about Litecoin right now. I was looking for kind of a double tap on that low that we experienced on March 9th. when we basically hit the 157 area, and it kind of feels like we were looking for that double tap, double test, and we basically did it at 157.50 versus the 157.27 that we hit on 3/8, which signifies, though slightly, a higher low. And that is why I'm actually really bullish right now about Litecoin and how it's reacted to this current daily fall of Bitcoin, and how it's held up significantly better. And that's interesting to me.
So you think that Litecoin's held up better than yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. What about Ethereum? Big Jonas. What are you seeing on Ethereum right now?
So I was very interested to see when would the day be where we break back into the 500s, and apparently today was that day. We haven't been in the 500 range since we bottomed out on the Bitcoin bottom back on February 5th and 6th, where we hit a low of 555.66 on Ether. Today, we now have hit another low in the fives again, first time since that moment of 585.52. You got to ask yourself, are we putting in a higher low than that previous low? Currently Ether at 617 and change. Again, it feels like we're trying to find a bottom here, and we have put in a higher low. One more thing I want to point out is the volume right now. It's pretty interesting. I know a lot of it has been red and dumping, but with every seller there is a buyer, and we are setting up a new base here somewhere in the high 5s to low 6 range.
What kind of jumps out to me, what's interesting, go pull up a 1 hour chart. All right. And look back on the 1 hour chart. Look back to, what is that, 309, March 9th at 5 o'clock. That's probably 5 a.m. And you see how that, like, there's that volume cluster? We're kind of getting that here. So, I mean, I'm kind of making your argument, I guess, but we're getting maybe the precursor of some type of a move here, which in this case was a 650 to 7 whatever 50. So, maybe we see a 70 to 80 point jump here, 50 to 70. It's possible.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we're about to go from 600 to 1,000. I think in the short term here, looking at kind of where it has some trend lines and some historic support, wouldn't be surprised if we can go over the next couple days. Yep. I really feel like there's going to be a several days move here to try and push back over 650 to 675. Would not be surprised if we were going to make some kind of a move based on some sort of a bottoming we're currently seeing.
Okay. I want to take a look at something I thought was kind of interesting. I did a couple polls recently. I have to choose here for myself what I think. Altcoins. I'm going to say we're close to bottom. Wants me to sign in. What are the results? Can you go and pull up on my feed under altcoins what the results of this poll are?
Let's take a peek here.
I've got two polls. I've got the altcoin poll and the Bitcoin poll. I'm kind of interested to see what what people are saying.
Let's take a peek here.
I know it was about for the Bitcoin poll, it was about 52% bear and 48% bull. While we are, why don't you go ahead and pull those up? While you're pulling those up.
All right, so this is interesting. 5,600 votes discussing the bull-bear ratio. Wow, it almost feels like the Pennsylvania race last night. Bull 47, bear 53. So, I think the audience is saying we're still kind of bearish, but not tremendously bearish here. Now the altcoins, close to bottom, more of a 60-40 split there. That's interesting because, listen, a lot of these altcoins were down, 70, 80% here.
60-40, what direction? What's 60%?
They're basically saying that we are almost at that bottom area, that in terms of basically taking a position in some of these coins, we're really not too far off in terms of a risk-reward ratio, and potentially, again, pick your battles. There's 1,500 altcoins out there. Yep. They are not all created equal, even though if some of them are down equally amount of money. But I agree. I think we're kind of finding a bottom. The question is, this bottom could last us for several weeks or months.
All right. I think that's a great answer. And thanks for looking those up. let's do a couple altcoins, me and you right now, just to get some of them out of the way. Everyone knows a lot of people still holding ADA. I'm gonna go a 4-hour method on ADA. Looks getting close to a short-term bottom here. What are you seeing on ADA right now?
All right, so looking at the 4-hour here.
Yeah, short term.
You know, I mean, I do like it almost feels like after this, and let's face it, this has been a tremendous pullback since our 9,000 Satoshi range. Kind of feels like we're trying to find a bottom here. I basically had an eye on ADA since we were kind of bottoming around the 2,000 range. The fact that we've been here for almost 4 or 5 days now almost makes me feel like it is trying to find a bottom. However, if you go back to February 20th, and the run it had for that 5 days to the 25th, we do have other history where it has seemed to find a bottom and kind of a leveling out period, only to create a bull trap and then fake us out and drop, 1,500 Satoshi from there. So although it is trying to find a bottom here, and I do kind of like the price action we've seen the past couple days, I'm still very hesitant on ADA, and there is definitely a chance that we could definitely go significantly lower, potentially 50% lower, where we find a little more historic support.
Yeah, I don't see. I'm just scrolling back since that 9,000 move. I don't really see where we've gone sideways like this for this long. Do you see what I'm saying? That's just kind of what's interesting to me. Since I don't know, March 9th, we've had all this sideways, and so that's something different. We had some back here. Looks like we had some sideways back here on February 21st for a while, and then that led to a bounce that failed, but at least it looks like we could be heading to a bounce. ADA, I did ADA. Everyone likes ADA. I'm just going to run through a couple ones I know I'll be asked about, and we'll jump back. ICX had a nice little peak, and looks like it is cooling off. But it might need to cool off a little bit more. I personally would look for ICX to retest 2,700 to 2,800 maybe, but 2,700 before I'd consider it. What are you thinking, Jonas?
Yeah, Icon definitely had quite a parabolic move there. There is some historic support in this 28 to, let's say, 2,600 Satoshi range. Next support below that, we're in the 1,800 to 1,600 support range. I like the volume in this area here, and I am liking some of its reaction to some of the trend supports, the 55 EMA and the 21 EMA. But again, this is one that could potentially still come down more based on its previous parabolic move.
Doesn't the daily chart maybe give you a little bit of pause?
Yes, that is a pretty nasty wick that we just kind of went through yesterday.
Look at the three-point middle Bollinger rejection as well. Right?
Yes, I totally see that. In hindsight, I want to go to the daily, and this is a great example of why multiple time frames can give you such a different perspective on a chart. If you just check at each one, if you're stuck on on a specific time frame, 30-minute and hourly, you really got to check them all because they're going to give you so much more added value in terms of where we are and potentially where we could go. And looking at the daily, Icon does put in a much more bearish candle yesterday. Would not be surprised if we see some further down price action.
All right, we're going to go to, let's take a look at NANO, N-A-N-O. And NANO looks like it's close to bouncing. You got this dip here below the Bollinger. You responded nicely. You've got a hammer candle, morning star. And you get the stochastics is reset. How's the 4-hour look for you on NANO? It looks pretty good to me. Are you still there, buddy?
There you are. I hear you now.
Yep. How we doing? So I'm looking at a 4-hour on NANO. What do you feel there? I think we're close to bouncing. What about you?
Let's take a peek here. You're on the 4 hour? Okay, let's take a look at the 4 hour. Wow, okay, so interesting. So the previous 4 hour there really had a nasty 4 hour until the bull stepped in right around 10,000 Satoshi. And wow, they pushed that thing up a good 10% to close out that 4 hour. That is a good looking previous 4 hour. Not be surprised if this current 4 hour can push this a little bit higher. I'm actually slightly bullish on this based on the previous 4 hour candle.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I like it myself. I'm going to take a quick look at NEO. N-E-O. 4 hour NEO. I mean, you're looking at a chart clearly in a downtrend, right? On the 4 hour. You have a little sideways here. You know, it looks like we got that inside bar. We don't know what it's going to do this candle. It's just still deciding. And you're on the bottom here. I mean, you could bounce, but it's still a little dangerous. What are you seeing here on the NEO chart?
I know a lot of people have been following NEO for a while. It's been a very dynamic coin. To be quite honest, there's nothing on this chart that looks good to me right now. It is clearly trying to find a bottom, and there is no bottom here. We are definitely hitting a little historic support right now in the 866,000 Satoshi range. But man, this is one that came up really quickly, and right now it is just trying to find a bottom. This is one of those catch a falling knife situations. Currently, this is a very risky one to play around here. I can't see where it's going to find a bottom at this point. I would not be surprised if there's some more downward pressure.
For me, if you look at the daily chart, right, and we're just trying to teach people, you know, and you asked a question, I don't know where bottom might be. If I go daily, I'm looking at these previous peaks, right? So we have the peaks back from August 25th, and then we have these peaks here shown us from like 10/3, from like October 3rd-ish. So when you're watching the price fall here, you're looking at this little bit of consolidation from early January, 9th, January 10th, and you have the peaks back in October. Then you got those prior peaks. So I guess you could see it holding here.
We're clearly seeing an example of where it's hitting this range. There's 4, as you said, previous examples dating back well into last year of some price action right at this price point. But again, there's so much potential to come down just because we had such an amazing parabolic move from December, topping off at the 1st of February there.
All right, we're gonna jump on over to take a look at, let's do WTC. WTC daily consolidation. WTC 4 hour looks pretty good on first glance. Similar to these other ones, you've got the lower Bollinger Dip and a kind of a hammer. And the stochastics is cool here at bottom channel. What are you seeing?
I do like the fact that it is holding this historical support level here, right around the 16,000 Satoshi range. Clearly, it keeps bouncing and has been doing so since the 1st of this month. There is one thing that is sticking out to me on the 4 hour. I know we talked about this before, seeing head and shoulders everywhere we look. Clearly, it tried to have a decent move on the 6th of the month, basically pushing through to 26,000 Satoshi, firmly rejected there in a pretty nasty wick on the 4 hour. And now we're basically trying to hold this neckline here at this 16,000 Satoshi range. If we do end up breaking this, look for the next support range somewhere in the 11 to 13,000 Satoshi, and possibly even lower to 10 Satoshi. I would not be surprised if we go a little bit lower in Walton Coin.
Okay. Just to remind everyone, this is Ched's coming to you live, making bread with Ched. I'm here with my main man, Big Chonas. Big Chonas, if the people want to get in touch with you, do you have anything going on? Do you have a Twitter or anything? Or are you still putting that all together?
I'm working on my Twitter account, deciding if I want to put it up or not. Okay. You know, I have a lot to say. I'm really interested in charting these days. I primarily use GDAX for my trading platform, and I've learned so much about trading specifically on that platform, and I feel I have a lot that I can teach and I can inform basically on GDAX. And I definitely look forward to doing some more tutorials and kind of everything from live trading to kind of the ins and outs and basically how to become a better trader and maximize all the tools that it has to offer you.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to if you do set that up. I know that people want to reach out to you and ask you questions. I'm looking at Lumen right now, XLM. I'm looking at like a 4-hour chart. I'm seeing a lot of volume here, Jonas. I'm seeing the stochastics reset. I'm seeing a lot of volume, and we are kind of testing this. We've kind of broken actually most of the support from this initial move. And the pullbacks. We lost the support here at 3,000.
Yeah, I mean, I was really hoping to hold that 3,000. We're just touching under it right now. Trying to find, I really want to hope maybe we'll kind of hit another double bottom in the 2,700 Satoshi range. Lumen is one of those coins. Those I've been following for quite a while here. Recently, I've been noticing it's funny. Since the 1st of March, almost the chart reminds me very similarly to Litecoin in terms of having that great bottom there, a nice bounce, and almost wanting to do that double bottom again. So although we broke that 3,000 range, which I really wanted to hold, if we do a nice little double tap somewhere in the 2,700 range, wouldn't be surprised if we can hold firm and bounce off of that.
So if we revisit the previous lows and hold them from like March 3rd is what you're saying?
Yeah, 2,700 is a really kind of hold or else moment. If we do break that, I believe we're probably going back to 2,000 Satoshi, potentially lower. That's why this 27, maybe 25 range is really a must hold. And I do believe we have probably several days for this to play out.
All right, let's take a look at Ripple XRP. And Ripple looks like these other ones, right? Lower Bollinger, they have a nice hammer, nice and oversold. So I mean, if you're trying to scalp it or flip it, you think it's going to bounce, but already this follow-up candle is looking pretty nasty. Half an hour in, what are you seeing?
Yeah, we're right there again. We've basically been testing these areas and Ripple kind of bouncing back and forth here. I'd be surprised if we go a lot lower than where we are right now. I almost feel like this is kind of this Ripple bottom area here. It just feels like, and again, I've expressed my thoughts on Ripple. I'm not a big fan of it just based on the amount of tokens, coins that are actually out there, over 40 billion out there. It's one of those things where it would just take massive amounts of volume to really legitimately move this thing. So right now it seems like it's kind of hanging around in this bottom-ish area. I'd be surprised if there's some sort of a crazy pullback, but I think right now, personally, I'm kind of stay away from it.
I like it. I think you really kind of laid it out nicely. And we'll do ZRX, and then we'll take some requests. ZRX downtrend break, and then new downtrend on the 4-hour, and the daily is very much oversold. We've discussed this before. We're heading into an area of prior support, so we just got to kind of see what happens, see if it holds it. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I was really hoping ZRX was going to hold the 7,000 Satoshi range. Kind of disappointed it wasn't able to do that. It had such a great run there for a while. Still looks like it's trying to find some consolidation here. Although it does feel like we're getting close. I really feel like at this one, the amount of pullback we've had here, there's something about this. We might be kind of closing in. We've been following this trend line for quite some time. And I do like the fact that the pullback has been relatively orderly, over the past few days here. I do have it kind of potentially bottoming somewhere in the high to mid fives. That puts it in line with basically a historic pricing pattern that we experienced back in early January.
Okay. Let's take a look at ETC. Let's do one or two more altcoins. Let's do a quick update on Bitcoin, and then we'll jump back. How does that sound?
That's a great plan.
I knew you'd like that. Let's take a look at Ethereum Classic. I'm looking at a 4-hour chart for ETC. I mean, they all kind of look the same, right? Lower Bollinger dip with a hammer.
This is a brutal pullback we've had basically since our nut high somewhere around February 13th. We're finding it coming back to this historic support range once again. And historically, again, you have to go back to December. We are putting in higher highs here. I don't see it coming back much farther from here. I would not be surprised if we're going to see a bounce sometime soon in ETC.
Okay. Let's grab one more from the chat room. IOTA jumped out. And then we'll go look at the big ones. I'm going to go on IOTA 4-hour chart. And, I mean, it looks oversold. This looks like it could be bouncing here. I mean, it's a little bit, it always tempts you a little bit because you see this candle. It looks like your stochastics is crossing, but you're only half an hour into this candle. Do you know what I mean? Like, that can be a danger where you take a signal from a candle that's not formed. But what do you think? You know, what do you see here?
IOTA is very close to finding a bottom here in several historic price ranges, somewhere in this 12,000 Satoshi range. You see a lot of history back to November and its original entry on the Binance market back in October. This is a bottoming area here. I'm actually kind of put this one on my radar. I do like the recent volume as well.
Yeah, I see. I'm drawing back to 11:29. You see, right back around Thanksgiving, it had those 5 days.
Yes.
And we're kind of, so I think that's what you were kind of remarking on. And then, like you pointed to back at the launch or whenever this was. So we're kind of at historic support. Let's do, let's go to like a 15-minute Bitcoin and let's, you know what I mean? Let's see what's going on.
I'm there.
15-minute Bitcoin. I see it coming down a little bit. First thoughts are, we're gonna test here this previous low here, the close of this candle, which was 8039. So it looks to me like we're gonna test 8039 on this. What do you see?
All right, so I was waiting for this. We had a bottom a couple hours ago. We had a nice bounce from that. I was totally expecting a retest somewhere in this 8,000 range. It looks like we're doing it. I'd be very surprised. I'm looking for just a little tap of the 8,000 range before we can move up again. I'm totally looking for a higher low. If we can put in a higher low here, take your time frame, 15-minute, 30-minute. I'm looking for that right now because that will signal to me that in this short-term moment that we actually have found, at least for now, some sort of a bottom in Bitcoin.
Yeah, but I mean higher low. If you're forming a bear flag, you have a higher low, right?
This is true, and we could be forming a bear flag now. Clearly, it's setting up for that moment there. However, if we do fear, if we are forming that, that has shown to take maybe 2 to 3 days to play out. So it is possible that we are at the beginning of that situation, but I am very hopeful now that we can hold above this 8,000 range. And believe me, this 8,000 range here is a very important one for Bitcoin right here. I'm really hoping that the bulls can basically put in a charge here. And so far, I'm actually pretty optimistic that they can.
What makes you optimistic?
It's because the fact that we're seeing some volume here that reminds me of some of the bottoming volume we saw back on February 6th. You know, you think about the huge sell-off, but every sell-off means that there's a new buyer class at that particular price point. That's going to stabilize our market here. And the longer we're at this price range here, the more we're going to create a bottom. So I'm seeing this volume here. I'm expected this double tap of our low to kind of confirm that we are finding a tap here. We're a little oversold in the 30, but the 1 hour seems like it actually could have some room here. And I love how the 4 hour looks. We've basically been bottomed on it for a little bit now. I mean, it's just got nowhere else to go but up. So that's why it gives me a little more optimism now.
I think I see your point. If I'm looking at the daily chart, stochastics is rebottoming. We'll get a double bottom. And I'm seeing typical bottom type volume. You know, you and I have often talked about how you see the most volume at the top, you know, and the bottom. So here at the top, you know, here at the bottom, we're getting typical bottom type volume. But what's interesting is you're getting the initial first half of this volume cluster on the daily chart showing us is the volume from the rejection at the top of the trend line, and we may actually see that type of volume on a retest and hopefully a holding and close of the lower trend line. So that's interesting. I think we might see some type of a lower trend line test, kiss and test here. Looks like that's around 75 right now. So let's see what happens there. Let's jump back to do let's see, NCASH. NCASH. Doesn't that just sound shady to you? Like if I'm a coin, like NCASH, it's not just scammy to me. It sounds.
I remember we may have talked about this one in our last show,
Yeah.
and I recall being surprised by how quickly it seemed to find a bottom when added to the exchange, and how it had quite a nice move on the daily, or basically over the past week. But a couple days ago, it put in a pretty nasty wick and was clearly prepared to correct, and it surely did. And now it's basically trying to find some support. It looks like it's finding it kind of on the the 8-day MA, just because it's so new on the chart here.
Surely you can't be serious. But I see. That was terrible. I think I tweeted here. So if you look at the 4-hour, if you look back, you see that big green candle off the middle Bollinger? That's kind of like a bull trap setup. I think I tweeted this. Like, it looked kind of nice. You see how we've got this almost like a bullish engulfing candle here?
Yes, yes.
And you've got the stochastics bottom, and you see the odd balance volume. Maybe you think it's kind of found some support. So that was like total like a bull trap setup, man. And it even bounced a little bit to like what 430 at the upper wick, and it's now it's come back down. I think just looking at this, it's telling me it needs to test the lower Bollinger. And probably this area here, the 289 area. I've got all these candles back here. That's just kind of what I think. Let's do one or two more alts. We'll check out Bitcoin and Litecoin. Let's take a look at NEBL BTC. Saw someone requesting that one. NEBL, NEBL. You want to nibble and nebble for us?
So I pulled up the 4-hour here. This is one of those alts that has very little volume. So anytime there is some volume that comes in, it kind of creates some sort of a spike and a pretty nasty wick. This is one of those alts that, it's kind of finding some historic bottom support here in the 11,000 Satoshi range. There's just not much there. I wouldn't be surprised if we go farther down to its last level of history, somewhere in the 7,000 to 8,000 Satoshi range.
For me, I just don't see a lot of volume, so it's hard to get too excited. Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm looking for value, clearly you want to hold this area. It's an area of prior support, back on 3.9 and then back on 2.6. I'm going to do another request here, and I promise I'll get over to Litecoin and Ethereum. QSP, BTC. All right, so you see how we're kind of flat here, right? We're downtrend. It's like downtrend, break, downtrend. Wait, so downtrend, break, new downtrend. Downtrend, break, new downtrend, and now we're in downtrend, break again. But now we're sideways, so I think we could be bottoming here. What do you think, QSP?
We are basically stuck at some historic support here in the 1700 range. There's a lot of history in this range, and over the daily candle, you can clearly see it's really trying to hold this range here. It looks like it tried to break down a couple times in the 16s, and the bulls fought back. Almost feels like we are trying to find some sort of a bottom here. If we do end up breaking this, we're going basically down to the 13s. But for right now, definitely trying to find some solid support here in the 1700 Satoshi range.
Yeah, I think it's got a real chance here. If you look back, I'm going daily, and I'm looking back at the initial support. The first, what is it, like 5 of the first 7 candles were in this range. So this actually, it's probably a decent spot if you like this coin. Let's go 15-minute Litecoin. 15-minute Litecoin. Ooh, what's going on here? 158.40. Looks like we dropped below 160. 15-minute Litecoin. 15-minute chart is suggesting a little more downside right now. 1 hour is trying to bottom. 4 hours oversold, so okay. What are you seeing on the 15-minute?
Yeah, so same with Bitcoin right now. It looks like we're trying to do another double tap of the low, trying to confirm that we are reaching a bottom area here. You mentioned the 15-minute. It definitely looks like we're a little overbought and trying to kind of pull back a little bit and reset.
Overbought or oversold? Overbought, oversold?
On the 15, we're a hair overbought.
Right.
If I zoom out a little bit to the hourly, it shows a lot of running room there, and that's actually encouraging. This bottoming we're seeing now in Bitcoin potentially and Litecoin, unfortunately, this is not something that's going to happen in the matter of a minute or 5 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if through the rest of the next 24 hours to a couple days, we are trying to kind of locate this solid bottom here, Litecoin specific in the high 150s here. Again, every time we break 160, I'm so tempted to make another purchase just because it feels like we're at this moment here where it's such a good value based on how it's responding to the Bitcoin pullback.
Yeah, I think it's held up pretty well. Even right now, I'm looking at the 15-minute chart. We're trying to put in a green candle here with a minute to go. Minute 45, we dip below the lower Bollinger. I really quickly drew a trend line, and that may show on your screen. And it looks like we might have bounced here off the lower, maybe trying to bounce off this lower trend line, go up the upper trend line. So if you're just playing the short channel, you know, maybe it does catch support here, and maybe we now see 161 again. So,
Cheds, we are about to put in a great 15-minute candle here. We got 2 minutes left in this 15 minutes.
Yep.
We could put in a nice hammer here.
Yeah.
It really shows some significant signs of finding a bottom.
Yep.
159 right here. I mean, this is super tempting.
It's super tempting. If you broke this mini downtrend, then you'd have to break this next level of resistance at 165, and then you'd kind of be looking in this area up here at 168-ish. So we got to kind of see how that plays out. How about Ethereum? Probably looks like the other ones, but let's take a quick look at Ethereum, Adam, if you want to get us started on a 15-minute chart.
So the 15, again, it's reacting very similarly, you know, to Bitcoin here. Look at that. I think what we're seeing here is, again, there's a little lag with Ether. It's fascinating. Ether is lagging a little bit behind Litecoin right now. Every time there's a little bounce, Ether seems to be lagging here. It's really trying to hold that 600 range, 606, 605. But we have put in a higher low on this 15-minute candle. And in the next minute, when we close this, some serious bullish signs here. I really like what I'm seeing here.
Okay. It looks pretty good. I kind of agree with you, but I mean, this one's, Litecoin was at the lower Bollinger. We're right here at the middle Bollinger on Ethereum. So, if it does hold here, that would show some strength and not need to go all the way back down to the lower. I just want to quickly remind everyone, if you guys are new and just starting out, you definitely need to check out my newbie guide, the Complete Beginner's Guide to Cryptocurrency Trading. It's on my blog, chedstrading.blogspot.com. I've got 10 great sections. You know, how do you get started? I've got a whole big list. It shows you all the different exchanges. You know, you guys want to know what exchange should I use. So I pretty much have every exchange. There's some reviews. You know, a lot of great info for you if you're trying to get started. Some other nice articles too. 5 ways trading is just like poker. Trader psychology. So just, you know, if you need to approach this seriously, not just learn how to read, you know, a chart. You want to learn how to read people. This will help you with that. This will help you understand the strategies of poker. I'm sorry, not poker. Strategies of trading, maybe poker too. Once again, follow me on Twitter at BigCheds. And on YouTube, please subscribe. Let's take a look at some altcoins again. We're looking at some requests in the chat room. How about POE, Big Jonas, the 4-hour? I'm going to pull up POE here. POE. It looks to me like POE is trying to bottom, but it's not quite there. I'd be looking around 350. What do you see?
So we're definitely seeing a lot of support here in this 300 50-ish Satoshi range. It's been kind of hanging out here for several days. And that's interesting to me because if you look historically, its super bull run it had back at the end of December kind of started in this range. I would be surprised if any continued downfall here. It would only go just a little bit lower. This is a really interesting moment right here. I think this price point right here, it definitely wants to find a bottom, and I like what I'm seeing right here in Poe.
All right, I do like it, but I'm gonna make a counter argument. If you go to the daily chart, right, look at the last candle we had. We had the shooting star candle, right? You see that candle?
I do.
You look at the stochastics. I think we're gonna turn back down. So if I believe that, I believe we're going to drift back towards the lower Bollinger. We're going to look on back, like what you said. Look around Christmas, and you see this. You see all this sideways action here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days sideways. And then you can go maybe even 12 if you include all this. So 170 to 280. I think you got to test that area. Do you see what I'm saying?
I totally see it, Chad. If you look at the daily, that was a nasty one. I agree. It's probably a shooting star that we had yesterday. And the historic, price back in that 190 to 230 Satoshi range there, that's its bottom. That's where it wants to go. It's probably where it's going.
All right, shooting star. Okay, so that was the shooting star. All right, let's take a look. Let's see. Request for Dragon. We don't have that on TradingView, guys. I cannot do DRGN. I apologize. But I can do... Ugh. Alright. Alright, I'll do it. TRX. I'm breaking my contract. You're going to have to call the lawyer. TRX daily chart. I have a bunch of old funky trend lines here. I mean, all right, so definitely going lower on the daily chart, but it's like a slow bleed here. Where are we gonna fall to? We're right here. Oh, okay. So yeah, what is this? Okay, so I don't know. I'm looking like I'm looking around 300 maybe. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we have really been hugging this 380s for quite some time here. I mean, it's amazing. The Bears tried to push us down to the mid threes back about a week ago, and it got rejected, and we're just still hanging out here. I'm a little pessimistic about the past couple candles here. I'm not really seeing the volume I want to see. And, this could go a little bit lower, but once again, we are so far off that super nut high at 2,000 Satoshi. So really right now, we could go lower, but we are probably pretty close to bottoming on Tron. Your favorite coin, is that what you said, Cheds? I don't remember.
Yes, it is Wednesday. That's correct. It's Wednesday. All right. Yeah, I mean, you could argue in the 4-hour. You could argue that if you hold this level, 4-hour, right, you're finding maybe support from 3.9. So who knows? Let's move on. Let's do VEN. VEN BTC. I'm gonna do VEN here real quick. 4-hour method. We're looking at some ugly candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you see this, oh, sorry, this is still TRX. Isn't that funny? All right. VEN. VEN actually looks pretty good at first glance. You've got some nice on-balance volume. You have the price trying to consolidate. So you have kind of like a peak here. And what you're trying to do is you kind of get to a peak, right? You get rejected. And then the price will fall. Basically, the price falls while you're consolidating. And as the price is falling, you're looking for your prior support, which you'd think would be in this area, which happens to be where it kind of, it hit it a couple times. So it looks like a bull flag on good on-balance volume. You're right here. So if this continues to hold on VEN, I think it looks good. I think it looks good. Let's take a look at Storm, BTC. Storm, STORM. Yeah, I mean, pretty terrible. Obviously, newly listed on Binance. Let's take a look and see here. We're looking at Storm, STORM. It looks pretty terrible, so there's not much to say. Jonas, do I have you back?
I am here, buddy.
Good. I'm glad you're back. Jonas, I was just wanting you to confirm that Ven looks good, looks pretty good to you here on the 4-hour. Are you? What do you see?
So Ven, oh, nice move here with Ven. So good volume. It looks like it's trying to make a nice impulse wave up here and a little consolidation off that bottoming in the 36.45. Wow, that was a nice move by Ven here. I would not be surprised if we see some continued upward momentum on Ven. It looks like you're really trying to find a bottom there in the 38s, and it may have found one.
You see like a bull flag pattern?
I do see it's forming. Oh, yeah. I totally do see it is beginning to form that. Let me just go down a little lower on the 1 hour. And yeah, I could see this becoming a bull flag here. Yeah, this is one to keep an eye on for sure.
All right. Let's take a look at GVT BTC. And we're going to wrap it up here. We just got a few minutes left. Yeah, GVT looks like it's kind of pretty. It looks pretty weak to me. You've got a lot of heavy selling. You broke a critical support area here. I'm looking at the 4-hour Jonas GVT. We didn't want to lose this 29.7 area, but we lost it. But we are testing this 28.3, which is the peak from March 1st. What are you seeing?
Yeah, this one's coming down more. We're going to 26 probably to kind of find a little more historic support here. This one probably definitely has a ways to go. The last this current 4-hour is pretty bearish.
Yep, I agree. I think 26. Let's check out OMG BTC. OMI's go. And OMG BTC 4-hour. Pullback. Looks oversold, but there's no reason it will turn around. Just because something's oversold doesn't mean it's going to bounce. Is that right, Jonas?
It's true. It definitely feels like it's trying to find a kind of a bottom here. It's pretty nasty pullback from not too long ago. This one's a tough one. I do like the price action, but yeah, this one is clearly trying to find a bottom here. This one's a tough one.
All right, let's take a look at SALT, S-A-L-T BTC. SALT. So, I mean, there's not a lot of volume. On-balance volume is flat. At least it's going sideways here. I'm looking at 4-hour. It looks like we're kind of done downtrending. What do you think? What are you seeing?
Yeah, it really feels like this low 30,000 Satoshi range was kind of a bottom, and we've been kind of hovering in this sideways pattern ever since we kind of bottomed almost a week ago. We are hitting some historic supports here. This clearly looks like it really does not want to go lower here. So this is actually a decent range here. I'm going to put SALT on my list here. This is one of those that definitely feels like it could be turning a corner.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's worth it to look at it here. It looks like it's definitely maybe bottoming. I'm going to jump back onto Bitcoin. Maybe we'll take 1 or 2 more requests. I just put out another message on Twitter just to let everyone know. That's Twitter, by the way, at Big Cheds on Twitter. Let's go Bitcoin 15-minute again. Or do you want to take a look at the longs and the shorts real quick? What are you seeing on the longs here, Jonas? Longs and shorts.
All right, so this is interesting here. So we got the longs here. They are topped off, and our shorts are interesting. So I got the 4-hour. I'm just looking at the 4-hour here. It almost feels like we're once again at that indecision point. Earlier this afternoon, it was clear the shorts were in complete command. The longs were liquidating severely. Since we bottomed at that 79 and change range, we're again seeing this situation where the longs and the shorts are kind of coming into sync with each other, once again showing that kind of indecision, in the market. That's why I feel we're kind of stabilizing right now with the price of Bitcoin.
It looks stable. It looks stable, both longs and shorts. I mean, I think you're making a great point.
It really feels like after we did that touch here, we're stabilizing. I might actually sleep tonight because I feel pretty confident in my Litecoin position, and I feel pretty comfortable that we're not going to have some sort of a massive flash crash, at least tonight. We'll put it that way.
At least tonight. You're sleeping tonight, right? This is you finally some time for some peace and quiet, and then you go to the bathroom at 2 in the morning and you check your phone, and then it's all over, right?
Once I check my phone, there's just I can't go back to bed, because you know what they say, crypto 24/7, 365, 366.
Yeah.
I mean, this is never ending. So, and it brings up a really interesting point, Chad. It's basically about how do you manage your crypto life with your everyday life. If crypto never ends, how do you really conduct your life when at any moment there could be some massive volume spike, a massive move in the market? And it's incredibly important to live a healthy lifestyle when you trade crypto. Because it's always 24/7, 365, you have to basically understand that, and don't feel like you're kind of miss the moment at one moment. It's important to walk away. It's important to get off of your computer. It's important to get exercise in the day, because crypto never ends. It will always be there.
I think that's very beautifully put, guys. That's Big Jonas, and once again, this is Chet's. I think, yeah, I mean, the market's always on, so you have to figure out how much of your life you want to give up to it. And I know a lot of people at night, they go to Tether, and they go to bed. So it's something to think about. Let's do a couple more here. Requests, we can finish up strong. So let's see, PART BTC. Let's take a look at that one on the 4-hour. 18. We're right at 18. Yeah, I think we broke support here. Most recently broke support. We're just kind of hoping that we can hold here at 18. You kind of ideally would have liked to hold this 19.3 area, but it looks like it didn't hold, unfortunately. Big Jonas, we're going to do just a couple more here. So we did part. I was saying PART BTC Big Jonas. It looks like it lost some support it needed to hold here at 19.8, and now it's trying to hold here at about 18 flat. What do you see here? PART BTC.
Yeah, Particle is actually a coin I've been following. I really like who's behind it, and they have some really incredible kind of ideas behind what they're trying to create. But as I look at the chart, this is clearly one of those that is just trying to find a bottom. It had such a great run back in the early January. It is right now at some pretty interesting historic support here. We are right there in some really good historic support, and it's trying to hold with some nice candles, especially on the 4-hour. It tried to break through lower in the 17th and really was able to hold back. Again, this is one of those that has great kind of technology behind it, but is really trying to find a bottom here. And one thing I do want to point out is it had such a long flag there. There is something about this that makes me think long-term this might be a really interesting investment. One of those kind of...
that's not the word. You don't want to use that word. Red flag, red flag.
Red flag. It's one of those things where I guess I'm saying is a good potentially... entry opportunity based on historic information.
Yeah, yep. We're gonna wrap it up here, but I promised I would get these done. So real quick, I'm gonna go ELF, BTC, 4-hour oversold, but no strength yet. But you do have a nice spinning top doji here, so I wouldn't be shocked to see it reverse. What do you think?
Yeah, this one's definitely trying to find a bottom here. It has not found one yet. There's very good chance this has some more downward pressure.
WAX, WAX, BTC. Looks to go lower to me. It looks like we haven't really started to find a bottom yet. What do you see?
Yeah, Worldwide Asset Exchange. This is another one of those that came on the market fresh and has been basically downtrending ever since. Really has not found a historic bottom yet.
Let's wrap it up with Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and we'll say goodbye to our friends. Bitcoin on the 1 hour. We are trying to find a little bottom here. We got a little bit of sideways support. We've got technically a 3 inside up. Reversal, sideways, but we don't really see a lot of strength yet. What do you see, 1 hour?
Listen, the 1 hour is actually pretty encouraging here. We've kind of tested this bottom numerous times. Almost feel like we're putting in kind of a bullish flag here. We're just kind of consolidating. The more we're able to hover above 8,000, the more bullish that makes me feel.
Litecoin on the 1 hour, we kind of look the same. We're still in this channel that I discussed with you on the 15-minute chart. So we kind of like to see what it does here. Hold the channel. We like to see it break the channel and break support. So what do you think in Litecoin?
Yeah, same deal. I mean, we're trying to hold this high 150s range here. Again, this is an area where I really think is a good value area here. And I really like how better Litecoin has held up in this Bitcoin correction period. It seems to only be falling one step while Bitcoin falls 2 steps. And that's very encouraging to me.
All right, let's take a look at, lastly, Ethereum. Looks like we're just over 600 now.
We're right back there at that 600 to under 600 moment. I'd love to see us hold 600. Not too sure with Ether. Out of the majors, Ether does have the farthest it could fall based on its recent move. I would not be surprised if you see some negative divergence from Ether compared to Bitcoin and Litecoin.
Okay. We're going to keep an eye on that. I think you guys are starting to hear the music. That's the cue from our producer, PJ Wigglesworth, that the show's starting to wrap up. I wanted to thank everybody for joining us today. I had a lot of fun. We learned a lot, and we are going to continue to learn and hopefully provide for you guys something a little bit better each time. What do you think, Jonas?
Listen, Chaz, I want to thank you for having me tonight. It's always an honor to chat and debate crypto with you. This was a very dynamic day in terms of price action. Listen, no one knows where we're going with Bitcoin, with all the alts, with everything that's going on.
Yep.
You can say that long term we're all optimistic and bullish, but for right now, it's kind of a wait and see pattern. Keep your stop losses tight, trade responsibly, and be smart. It's an opportunity for everybody.
I love it. I love it. Wise words. Once again, this is Cheds. It's my man, Big Jonas. Wishing you guys the best. Stay hard. Study hard. Be strong. Take care.